security is restoring security in the country. I can tell you that from now on there will be harmony at the top of the state of the Central African Republic, because we have one objective: everyone. Get the country out of this rut. We will soon be meeting with the armed groups, former rebels and new militia forces, as well as what remains of the regular army, in a bid to ease the tension. Since December, when the French military intervention began, 2,000 people have lost their lives and some 1 million had to flee their homes. Celebrations of the third anniversary of the uprising, which toppled Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, turned into demonstrations in support of General al-Sisi, the country's new strongman, like here at Tahrir Square. At the same time, gatherings of the Muslim Brotherhood were violently suppressed. In 24 hours of violence, 49 people died and more than 1,000 were arrested. On Sunday, the interim president announced on television that presidential elections would be held within 3 months. Surrounded by hundreds of supporters, prominent political figures who resigned from the president's party in Burkina Faso formed a new party in Ouagadougou on Saturday. It's called the MPP, the People's Movement for Progress. The dissidents, former mayors, ministers and men who were once in circles close to President Blaise Compaoré, opposed the modification of Article 37 in the Constitution. The move would allow President Compaoré, who has been in power for 26 years, to run for another term.
Thousands of protesters in Ukraine have laid siege to government buildings in the capital, Kiev. This follows President Viktor Yanukovych's offer of the post of Prime Minister to the leader of the opposition, which was flatly rejected by demonstrators who are calling for early election. Rival factions in the Syrian conflict meeting in Switzerland are expected to discuss the possibilities of opening up humanitarian corridors in the besieged city of Homs. This comes after the two sides met face-to-face yesterday for the first time since the conflict began 3 years ago. We have more of these and other stories in this CFI Roundup.
Protesters laid siege to a building in central Kiev used as a base by security forces as the Ukrainian capital remains tense. Opposition leaders say they will pursue their movement despite concessions granted by the authorities. Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych on Saturday offered opposition leader Arseniy Yatsenyuk the post of Prime Minister. He also proposed to change the constitution, but the opposition say they want a return to the constitution of 2004 and a new presidential election this year. Talks between the Syrian regime and the opposition continued on Sunday in Geneva. The day's discussions were centered on humanitarian issues. The UN mediator said an agreement had been reached to send aid convoys to the city of Homs, which has been besieged by government forces for the past year and a half. The opposition says it now wants to discuss prisoner releases. The two sides are meeting in the biggest diplomatic push yet to stem Syria's bloodshed after nearly 3 years of civil war. A Taliban suicide bomber blew himself up in Kabul Sunday, killing 4 people, including 2 soldiers, and injuring 22. The attacker blew himself up near a bus that was transporting Defense Ministry employees. This latest attack on the Afghan capital comes in the final year of NATO combat operations. 58,000 NATO troops are due to leave the country by the end of the year. France no longer has a First Lady. French President François Hollande announced officially on Saturday that he will no longer be sharing his life with his partner, Valérie Trierweiler. Trierweiler will undertake her last mission as France's First Lady when she leaves for India Sunday on a trip organized by a humanitarian organization. The separation comes after recent revelations that the president was having an affair with a French actress.
Well, the latest report coming out of Switzerland say the two parties have agreed to provide safe passage for civilians, mostly desperate women and children, out of the battered city of Homs. The trial has begun in South Africa of 3 men accused of plotting to kill Rwandan dissidents in the country. The 2 Rwandans and a Tanzanian are believed to have been recruited and paid by Rwandan President Paul Kagame to kill his critics. As we hear in this CFI report, the attempted murder of Rwandan dissidents has strained relations between the 2 countries.
2 Rwandans accused of plotting to kill Rwandan dissidents in the country. The 2 Rwandans and a Tanzanian are believed to have been recruited and paid by Rwandan President Paul Kagame to kill his critics. As we hear in this CFI report, the attempted murder of Rwandan dissidents has strained relations between the 2 countries.
In the attempted murder of a former Rwandan army chief, General Faustin Kayumba, continued in Johannesburg Saturday. Kayumba was an opponent of the Rwandan regime and living in exile in South Africa. On trial are 3 Rwandans and 3 Tanzanians suspected of being implicated in the attempted murder, which took place in 2010. The hearing, led by prosecutor Abrahams, was primarily aimed at shedding light on who ordered the attack. A list of telephone numbers revealed that one of the accused was regularly in contact with a person in Rwanda.
The person referred to as Dio or Diodoni is one of the persons that you receive instructions from and or reported to in your endeavors to murder General Kayumba and Nyamwasa.
But the accused claimed that the number was that of his company. General Kayumba says he believes that the order to kill him and other Rwandan opposition figures living in exile came from Rwandan President Paul Kagame.
He has killed many people before. He's killed my friend Patrick, and well, it could also come to me.
Kayumba was referring to Colonel Patrick Karegeya, who was found strangled in early January in a hotel room in Johannesburg. No light has been shed on this matter. During the hearing, the prosecutor also brought up the issue of the defense lawyer's fees.
Ms. Patlava had categorically stated that she's waiting for payment from the Rwandan government. Now I want to put it to him whether he can comment on that. I think it's a fair question.
If maybe it's on record, then my colleague can tell me exactly which page of the transcript, Your Worship. I've never said it.
Rwanda has denied any implication in this or any other murder or attempted murder. The accused will return to the court on February 15th, when the verdict is to be announced.
Well, it's now time for our second break. Welcome back. And before we take leave of you, a quick reminder of the day's top stories. The Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi, has joined world leaders and other experts from across the globe for the Abu Dhabi Sustainable Week. The latest round of violent clashes gripping Egypt has left 49 pro-Morsi supporters killed. Embattled Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych has offered leading opposition figure, former boxer Vitaly Klitschko, the position of Prime Minister to diffuse tension in the streets of Kiev, and serious warring factions have agreed to the opening of humanitarian corridors in the besieged city of Homs as peace talks between the two parties continue in Switzerland. That was all in this edition of the News at 10. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with us.